A decade and a half of Brazilian dominance of the World Cup must have been tough to take for Argentina. Having never won the big one, La Albiceleste had to watch on enviously as a Pelé-led side won 3 of 4 trophies between 1958 and 1970. But their time would come, and it would not begin with the arrival of Diego Maradona, but with the first tournament that they hosted. Unfortunately, the controversy in which it was mired in was of a much more serious variety than Diego's Hand of God goal in Mexico '86. As David Winner wrote in the Financial Times in 2008, the more one knows about the 1978 World Cup in Argentina, the more obvious it becomes. The tournament should never have been played. As is all too topical at the moment, the reason for this controversy was politics and human rights violations of the ugliest kind. A military coup brought a new administration to power in 1976, and General Jorge Rafael Videla, who handed out the trophy to his country's side at the end of the tournament, had said a couple of years earlier, "As many people as necessary must die in Argentina so that the country will once again be secure." It was a vicious regime. Literally thousands of Argentinians died at their hands, torture and disappearances were rife. To them, the World Cup was a potent political tool. Winner also wrote, in the words of Argentine journalist Ezequiel Fernandez Morris, the 1978 World Cup was the most obvious political manipulation suffered by sport since the Olympic Games of 1936 in Nazi Germany. Simply put, the men who organised mass murder also organised the World Cup. They manipulated the tournament to get the result they wanted, Argentina crowned as world champions. Some believe that Argentine euphoria following this triumph extended the life of the dictatorship by several years. Claims about specifically rigged matches have persisted. Argentina needed to beat Peru by 4 clear goals to progress through the second group round. In 2012, former Peruvian Senator Gennaro Ledesma said 13 political prisoners were sent to Argentina to be tortured, and that because Videla needed to win the World Cup to cleanse Argentina's bad image around the world, he only accepted the group if Peru allowed the Argentine national team to triumph. Argentina won the game 6-0. In John Sperling's book Death or Glory, The Dark History of the World Cup, he quotes Argentina striker Luque, who said he was given a warning by the regime following Argentina's narrow win over Hungary in their opening game. With Italy and France still to play, he was told that this could become a group of death, as far as you are concerned. Against France, there were allegations of corrupt refereeing. An unnamed French player was quoted by Sperling as having heard the referee to say to Daniel Passarella, following a foul on French winger Didier Six, "Don't do that again please, or I might actually have to give it next time." Sperling also cites a caller to a French phone-in from 2003 who muffled his voice and alleged that Argentine players were so high on amphetamines that you could hear them screaming in their dressing room, and they had to warm down for 2 hours after the match. The football seems almost an afterthought after all of that. In the end, Argentina's regime got what they wanted, and their side lifted the trophy. Holland suffered a second successive defeat in the World Cup finals, though this time they had to cope without Johan Cruyff, who had chosen not to attend. He ended years of speculation about his absence in 2008 when he revealed that he'd been shaken by a kidnapping attempt on his family. He told Catalunya Radio, "You should know that I had problems at the end of my career as a player here, and I don't know if you know that someone put a rifle at my head and tied me up and tied up my wife in front of the children at our flat in Barcelona." It's another ugly chapter in the ugly story that was the 1978 World Cup. Argentina would get a more honourable victory a few years later, but this one must surely be considered tarnished. Mario Kempes finished as top scorer with 6 goals, and Brazil finished third. But it's hard to get too enthused about any of that. After all, the more one knows about the 1978 World Cup in Argentina, the more it becomes obvious that this was a World Cup that should never have been played.